Welcome to the Diverse Minds podcast, where we give you the tips, tools, and techniques you need to be a mentally healthy and inclusive leader. Each week, you'll hear about a variety of topics linked to mental health, well-being, and diversity that will enhance both your professional practice and personal well-being.
Welcome to the 214th episode of the award-winning Diverse Minds podcast, and welcome to October. And it is, of course, Black History Month in the UK, and this year's theme is Saluting Our Sisters. This year, Black History Month in the UK is dedicated to honouring the achievements of Black women who are often the forgotten heroines. The aim is to amplify their voices and challenge the systems that oppress them. And speaking of amplifying voices, have you watched my TEDx talk about the connection between culture, race, and mental health? It's something you can watch in your break, as it's just 12 minutes long, and the link is in the show notes, but I'll also give it to you here, bit.ly/TEDx Wolves, that's WOLVESLO. I really hope you enjoy it, and I talk about specific experiences of Black communities, and it's interesting actually because there were some comments on YouTube about South Asian people taking over the Black experience. And that wasn't the point of it, actually. It was to use data and evidence to show the differences of experience and to show the experiences that Black colleagues and friends may experience in the workplace. So please, if you like it, do leave a positive comment on YouTube, share and like. And please also don't forget to connect with me on LinkedIn, Facebook and Twitter. Okay, so every year in the UK, we celebrate Black History Month in October, and we also celebrate Black History Month on the Diverse Minds podcast, don't we? And of course, this year is no exception, and what a brilliant theme. I wanted to share with you the blog post on Black History Month 365 website from the brilliant Sharon Inco Taria MBE's blog post. And she says, Black people have always been at the forefront of social justice movements, fighting against oppression and paving the way for change. However, despite their countless contributions to society, the achievements of Black women in particular have too often been overlooked or forgotten. That is why this year we will be celebrating the exceptional achievements of Black women. With the theme of Saluting Our Sisters, this highlights the crucial role that Black women have played in shaping history, inspiring change, and building communities. And this year's celebration will showcase pioneering Black women who've made remarkable contributions to literature, music, fashion, sport, business, politics, academia, social and healthcare, and much more. So I really hope you're enjoying the content of this podcast. And if you want to keep up to date, then why not join my bi-monthly newsletter? When you join, you'll receive my free 200 podcast episode guide with clickable links to each episode as a resource for you. And that link is bit.ly/DMPG23. Okay, so many of my friends talk about the fact that Black History Month is hypervisibility for 31 days and then it all disappears. And of course, we really want to have a Black History 365 approach, and it's a conscious shift to truly understand Black contributions, excellence, and legacies in societies today. It is about placing anti-racism and anti-blackness at the core of what we do. And do remember, I talk about the idea of us all, particularly in South Asian communities, tackling anti-blackness in our communities in episode 110 and a Black History Month 365 approach in episode 113. Because it is about what we all do inside and outside of work. And it's about moving from simply listening and going, oh, isn't that terrible, to constant and consistent actions. And personally, I really want to salute my sisters and recognize all the brilliant Black women who've been there for me, many of whom have been guests on the podcast. In fact, so many of them. And I really wouldn't be here without them and without those conversations. And I have to say, they've actually been more than family to me, much better as there's unending support. So please do check out the Black History Month website for brilliant resource packs and ideas. If you've left it late and you haven't booked your speakers, good luck. Because I think most people will be booked up. But I also want to say it's worth approaching people and asking, because of course, if they can't speak in October, they may be able to speak in the new year. And please, please make sure there is a budget and resource available. Do not ask Black women to speak at your organization for free. Interestingly, we've had many conversations, those of us from global majority Black and diaspora communities on LinkedIn, as it's coming up to Black History Month, about this. We constantly get asked to speak for free. And I really want to focus here on my Black friends and colleagues. Please, please Do not ask, I'm saying it again, do not ask Black women to speak at your organization for free. Now, of course, people are part of community and religious organizations and support groups and mentoring platforms. And if they are volunteering their time for your cause, that's brilliant. But if you are from a corporate, please do not do that. It is deeply insulting because let's face it, your organization wouldn't ask you to do that for a very popular professional white man. So if you're not going to do it for them, please do not do that for Black women. But I also wanted to talk about, soapbox over, some ideas about Black History Month and the Black History Month 365 approach, and mention some role models and people that you could talk about and think about in your workplace and perhaps beyond the people we usually think of. And of course, those people are super, super important in terms of American civil rights history. We often think of that, and Black British women. But I'm going to give you some ideas from some role models and some, at the very least, if you've not planned anything in your organization, is to send around information and for people to have discussions, maybe have a book group in your organization. But there are so many Black women who've led the way around the globe. And as I said, we often think about America, which of course does have stories of absolutely amazing women. For example, Harriet Tubman, the American abolitionist and social activist, Madam C.J. Walker, the African American entrepreneur, philanthropist, political and social activist. Dr. Patricia Bath, who was the first female African American to complete a residency in ophthalmology and the first African American female doctor to receive a medical patent. She invented the laser phaco probe for the cataract treatment in 1986. We absolutely need to be celebrating that. And equally, let's not forget people like the brilliant Claudia Jones, feminist, political activist, visionary, and pioneering journalist. Jones was born in Trinidad in 1915 and was the founder of the Notting Hill Carnival. And if you want to know more about the wonderful Claudia Jones, please check out episode 85 with Dr. Rochelle Rowe on beauty and wholeness. I also wanted to big up two people that I've read about recently in the UK, and there are many, many more. And as I said, do check out many of my podcast guests. As you know, we do focus on the Black global majority and diaspora voice. So there are tons of saluting our sisters, brilliant role models there. But I wanted to talk about Selena Boyd, who wanted to boost her daughter's confidence, faith about her appearance. So Serena tried to buy her a magazine of other girls that looked like her, but there weren't any. So Serena, the mother, and Faith, her daughter, decided to make one. And that's how Coco Girl, the magazine, was born. So do check that out. And also Professor Jacqueline Dunkley Bent is England's first chief midwifery officer. Jacqueline is the most senior midwife in England, and she's one of the featured Black role models in certain London boroughs. And she's led thousands of midwives across the country, raising standards for maternity care. I also wanted to mention the amazing Wangari Maathai, 1940 to 2011. She was the first Black African woman to receive a Nobel Peace Prize for her efforts in environmental conservation. And in fact, she's written books, and there's some very beautiful writing from her as well. And in the 1970s, she founded the Green Belt Movement, an environmental non-governmental organization focused on environmental conservation and women's rights. And remember, do check out my episode with Irene Asua, who's Kenyan conservationist and environmental rights activist, where she talks about climate change, injustice, climate chaos, and the impact of colonialism, particularly in Kenya. But we also talk about Africa as a continent. And then, of course, Portia Miller-Smith, who was sworn in on March the 30th, 2006 as Jamaica's first female prime minister. She served in the post from March 2006 to September 2007, and again from January 2012 to March 2016. She was also the leader of the People's National Party from 2005 to 2017, and the leader of the opposition from 2007 to 2012, and then again from 2016 to 2017. So, of course, if you're listening and you have Jamaican Caribbean heritage, you probably know that, but many people don't know that. So do check her out. And then I also wanted to mention Wendy Luhabe from South Africa. She's a renowned author and social business person who had spent a great deal of her life working to inspire formerly deprived people, especially women. She stepped into the world of social entrepreneurship in 1991 when she founded a consultancy firm known as Bridging the Gap. The company was aimed at assisting needy people in the business environment. And then in 1994, she pioneered the establishment of the Women's Investment Portfolio Holdings, a women investment group that allowed thousands of women to invest for the first time in their lives. And this company did well as it became the first female-owned corporation to be listed on the JSE. And then I just came across another amazing activist from the Gambia. Should have known who she was, so I wanted to share it with you. Is Isatu Sese, who created an umbrella of environmental solutions in the Gambia. She founded a social enterprise that is helping to fight plastic pollution using plastic bags to create products and empowering women and young people to gain economic independence. She's the director of the Gambia Women's Initiative, and it's all about aiming to improve economic empowerment of Gambian women through sustainable income generating initiatives focused on the conservation and protection of the environment. So I've given you a snapshot of women who are around the globe who have done amazing things, Black women. And of course, there are millions more examples, millions and millions more. So let's look at the way. There are lots of ways we can salute our sisters, and we can do this in a genuine way, whether we identify as being from the Black community or not. Think about a BHM 365 approach. If you have left it too late and you don't think you can get a speaker, and I'm going to say again, please remember your budgets around this. Do think about how you could invite people to speak later on in the year for a 365 approach, share information, read a book, read a poem from people, discuss it, say how it shifted your thinking and helped you. Think about the Black women in your area, community, and around the world. Let's think about the continent of Africa, South America, Asia, and then the Caribbean and Australia. There are lots of ways to do this. We can commemorate people who are alive, who have passed recently, who have passed a long time ago. And please do keep listening to the rest of this series, because we are going to be really saluting our sisters. And I'm going to introduce you to a variety of incredible Black women, not just in this series. We know that I talk to incredible people throughout the year, but specifically focusing on that and how we can all salute our sisters. So I really hoped you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, please leave me a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcast from. Do check out the episodes that I mentioned. So Black History Month 365 approach, Black Beauty and Wholeness, episode 4 with the wonderful Paulette Brooks, Black History Month, and the UN stories, so the compilation of inspirational Black women to know about. So as always, do connect with me, listeners. I love to hear from you, and I look forward to you joining me on the rest of the series, where we are going to be saluting our sisters. Until then, take care.
Thanks for listening to the Diverse Minds podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you access your podcasts from. You can also connect with me on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Tune into next week's episode of the podcast, where I'll bring you more insights on mental health and inclusion. Bye for now.